Hey there, good evening, guys. Pete Lyden for Rail Fan Productions. This is a very last minute post. As you can probably see why. I will go into it in just a couple minutes. But the Union Pacific Big Boy 4014, the big railroad event of the century, the schedule was just released for its eastern leg, running from Cheyenne, Wyoming to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, from May, June into early July, and then we'll be heading back. It's covering a whole series of locations. It will be covering some of the bullet point areas are Omaha, Nebraska, Chicago, Illinois, Buffalo, New York, Scranton, Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Altoona, Pennsylvania, um, and St. Louis, Missouri. So with other points in between, points in Ohio, other points in Nebraska, Illinois, New York, and Pennsylvania. Unfortunately, won't be getting as far as New Jersey, but the closest point for all New Jersey residents will be Philadelphia. It also will be running an excursion in Jim Thorpe on Sunday, June 14th. Now, it's not in Jim Thorpe specifically, but it's from Nesquehoning up to Pittston. And then that night, that will be happening on the afternoon or day of the 14th, which is a Sunday. Also, that trip will be sponsored by the Union Pacific Railway Museum. So they're sponsoring the whole tour. And Jim Thorpe, in in respective for that trip, they're going to be running their own excursions with 2102. So anybody riding 2102 that day will get an exclusive opportunity to view and catch photos and hopefully some videos of the Big Boy excursion. The Big Boy is going to be its own separate um, that's going to be its own separate ride. That's not being sponsored by Reading Northern specifically. As I mentioned, that's through another company via the Union Pacific Railway Museum Society. So they're going to be running that association or that group. As far as plans are concerned, I would suggest you start making your plans now. Some spots will be on ticket base only. So unless you have a ticket, you can't go to some of these locations, because they will only be accessible to the public during that time, and you will need a ticket to get in due to the extraordinary amount of crowds that are expected to take place during those particular events. If you want more information, um, Union Pacific, UnionPacific.com, the Big Boy tracking website, has a whole schedule that was just released today of the Eastern leg. Some tickets will be going on sale tomorrow as well as the next couple of days. Altoona just went on. Altoona just went on sale today. Um, I will tell you very briefly what I'm planning to attend. So far, there's three of the events that I'm personally planning to attend. Um, it will be Jim Thorpe on the 14th, followed by Scranton immediately on the 15th, Philadelphia on the 4th of July itself, and then Altoona the following weekend on July the 11th. It will also feature a chase from Reading Outer Station down to King of Prussia. That will be happening on the afternoon of Thursday, July 2nd. So that will be running basically that route along the main line. Um, it is owned uh, between both Reading and Northern and Norfolk Southern. So they will be partnering and running this train um, through that particular portion, through that distance. So that event is free to basically anyone, but keep in mind that if you want to go catch your spots, this is the time that you got to plan your spots ahead of time and plan them wisely. Look for any spot that you know not a whole lot of people are going to be gathered at. Personally, my suggestion, I would stay away from the biggest hotspot locations if you're doing a chase route. So say if you're like If you're going trackside from Reading to King of Prussia, also be familiar with the roads out there because I've traveled those roads quite a few times, and those roads can veer you off trackside very quickly. And then if you don't know the area, you're basically going to be completely lost and you won't be able to make your way back. So study a map, study the area, and just really get to learn where you're going before you take this trip. Like I said, they're predicting about a couple thousand, tens of thousands of people potentially coming to this thing. And that's not an exaggeration. The statistics are legit suggesting upwards of a couple thousand people coming to this event. So this is about as legit as a railroad event gets. So if you want more information, just go on Union Pacific Big Boy website and you will see a whole schedule posted as well as the stops, the duration, and the amount of time it will be stopped there. And again, it's ranging from Omaha, Nebraska, starting I think on the 30th of May. Actually, a few days before that. I think May 25th, Memorial Day is the kickoff. And then it's going to be traversing east towards Philly, making it by the 4th of July itself. And then we'll be making its way back out west, I think, ending, I think, on the 29th or the 30th of July. So, total of 2 months. Basically, almost somewhat similar to what the Western leg was like, although that I think that was only a month. So, but that just finished this past Friday. So, as we speak, the engine's actually currently back in Cheyenne, Wyoming, getting serviced for its next run. So keep in mind, this is a historic event of the century. So, this is something that you really want to be well prepared for and know your spots, know your routes, just know anything and everything you can ahead of time to plan for this. Because this is not just a run of the mill trip. I mean, we are talking of an excursion of unparalleled proportions. So, if you've been to any excursions in the past, like I have and a lot of other rail fans have, um, it's really a time, um, like I said, you don't take this at will. You really got to plan for this one because it's going to be a mob scene. I can guarantee you almost every spot that you go to, especially on the Pennsylvania side, it's going to be mobbed with people. I can't speak so much for, you know, areas west of Pennsylvania because it's probably going to be the same thing there too. Ohio, Illinois, upstate New York, um, as far out as Nebraska, which is where this event essentially is going to start off on basically the whole last week of May, May 25th through the 30th, before it makes its way east. So like I said, this is also a time that you want to probably start planning some carpooling. Uh, I can say from experience, this is not a trip that you want to try to wing by yourself in terms of getting spots because who knows? There are some spots you may not even have access to because it'll be clogged up with people already. I mean, this is not going to be just rail fans from within the northeastern region. This is probably going to be people from halfway across the country, if not the entire country, coming out for this run. So, if it sounds like a little exaggerant, that's exactly what this is. Um, and Pennsylvania and New Jersey railroad guys, they are crazy, and I mean crazy about their trains. I know a lot of people between both states here who are very, very like enthused, trained people, and they're not going to give up their spots or their shots for anything. So it really is a time to plan it wisely and know your spots, know where you're going, plan a carpool, go with a group of friends, just so so you're not battling people by yourself to get a spot or to get your shot. So, ultimately, this is going to be this is going to be a big major event. So I'm already starting to field some questions. My friend Delvin Bradford, he's from the Philadelphia area. He asked me if I'm planning to get 4014, and the question is yes. As I said in the beginning of this post, I've already purchased my Altoona tickets for the 11th of July. tomorrow around 10 a.m., the Scranton tickets are going to go on sale, and I'm going to purchase the ones for Scranton. Philadelphia, you don't need tickets, luckily. You just have to show up, I think, between the hours, I think, of 9 and 3, that the engine will be on display. I think the address is like Intrepid Avenue, and I forget the other one. I have to look at it. Um, but it's gonna be, I'm not sure where exactly in Philadelphia it is, because Philadelphia, it's pretty, it's not big, but it it's spread out, and you know there's a lot of questions. Is it going to be on CSX trackage? Is it going to be on Norfolk Southern trackage? Is it going to be? I can tell you one thing. It's not going to be involving 30th Street at all. So don't even think about going to 30th Street, because you're basically going to have zero chance of seeing it there. Um, since since I have you guys on the line, and since I'm on the line too, I'm going to pull up the schedules just so we can go into a little bit more detail. Um, Ultimately, of what things are going to look like, especially as we get closer and closer to the July 4th event. Um, so here it is. So it's on Union Pacific. They have a whole schedule posted. You can actually visually track it too. And if you pull up the tracker right now, it's just going to say it's in Cheyenne, Wyoming, because it just completed its western leg about 4 or 5 days ago. So if you look at this, if you guys can see it, I'm going to try to put it right here on the screen. This is the schedule. So this will have the arrival departure times, the location times, and basically everything you need to know. It starts from the 25th and goes to, I believe, the tail end of July. So I'm just going to look through here, and I'm going to try to give you what the Philadelphia event itself is going to look like. Um, Okay. So it's on Intrepid Avenue and League Island Boulevard. That is the location for the Philadelphia viewing. It will be on display from 9 a.m. to 3 in the afternoon, and there will be no public access outside of those hours. So anytime before 9 and after 3 in the afternoon, you won't have access to go see the engine. And that's on both July 4th and July 5th. So it's a whole weekend thing. The following day, Monday, July 6th, it is expected to leave the Philadelphia area at 9 in the morning, and it will continue out towards King of Prussia. From there, it will go from King of Prussia to Lebanon, and basically ending in Harrisburg um, late in the afternoon on July 7th. July 8th, it resumes with Enola, Lewistown, and out towards Altoona. So Altoona, just to keep in mind, there's two viewing spots for Altoona. Altoona in the main station area, that will be on July 8th at 5:15 to 5:45. So basically, if there's a certain stop along the route, which there are quite a few, the duration is usually no more than like a half an hour. So depending on the location, some will be half an hour, some will be 45 minutes, some will be an hour, and obviously the bigger spots, will be a couple of hours. July 9th and 10th, it will be in Altoona once again. Um, it will be at the People's Natural Gas Field. And then July 11th is Horseshoe Curve. So that will be a half hour in duration. It will arrive there at 9:30 in the morning and will depart a half hour later at 10. Then it makes its way to Crescent. Crescent, it will get there at 10:45 a.m. and leave by 11:15. Then it heads out to Leetsdale. So basically, the question here is, it's going to go straight from Altoona to Crescent, but then after that, there's a bit of a time lapse between the Crescent stop and the Leetsdale stop. The Leetsdale stop is just outside of Pittsburgh. It's just west of there. Um, that's from 5:45 to 6:15 at night, and then Conway will be on the 12th. And then from there, it's just going to go into Ohio and will continue the rest of its journey back out west. Um, if you guys want information in regards to Scranton and Buffalo, New York, I will read that. I'm only going to go over the events that are more specific to us, not events that are halfway across the country, literally. just the events that are in the closest proximity range to PA and New Jersey residents. If you know of anyone outside of the area that's coming, or there's other areas that you want to hit up that are mentioned on the list, like well outside the state, by all means, you know, look them up, buddy up, find a pair, and go see it. Nothing's stopping you from going to other locations. So, but for the sake of time and energy and duration, I'm only going to talk about the Pennsylvania and New York. Not so much New Jersey, but the Pennsylvania and New York events. Um, so we backtrack a month to middle of June. So on June 9th and 10th, it's expected to pull into Buffalo. It will be in Buffalo for the day on Wednesday, June 10th, from 9 a.m. to 2:30 in the afternoon. And again, there is no public access to see the train outside of those particular display hours. So make sure you pay attention to the display hours and, follow adherence very closely to them because they are, according to this, it looks like they're, you know, strongly sticking by them. So if you get there, a minute after they close, you won't be able to get in. So Buffalo, New York on June 11th, there will be no public access. It departs at 9 a.m. and it goes to Silver Springs. Silver Springs gets there by 11:45 with a departure at 12 noon. Then it will pass through Letchworth State Park around 12:20 in the afternoon. It's by the Genesee River Arc Bridge Park. Admission is required, so you basically have to get a ticket to get in. It will be in Hornell, New York, at the Hornell Erie Depot Museum. Um, it will be there at 2 o'clock in the afternoon with a departure of 2:30. Friday, June 12th, it gets into Pennsylvania territory briefly by Erie. Departs at 9 a.m. from Sayre, PA, and it goes to Owego, New York, getting there at 10:45, leaving by 11:15. Then in Binghamton, there's a private Norfolk Southern employee event. So unfortunately, no rail fans will really be permitted to visit the Binghamton spot because that is specifically designated for Norfolk Southern employees. Um, so Binghamton, there's no public access. On the 13th, it departs at 7:30 in the morning, and we'll get to Nicholson, Pennsylvania, at the Tunkhannock Creek Viaduct. If I can pronounce these towns. At 10 in the morning. It will pass through there. It will get into Nesquehoning for the following day's event on the 14th. That will depart at 10 a.m. from Nesquehoning. And then that will be the Union Pacific Museum Passenger Special. And that will be the one trip. Now, pay attention. This will be the one trip that Union Pacific, the big boy, will be operating under its own distinctive motive power. I will say that again. The Union Pacific Museum Passenger Special is the only trip that will be operated under its own distinctive motive power. Unfortunately, the other legs of the event, um, and that's why I'm pointing this out to you now, so it won't be a disappointment disclaimer. But since it's passing through NS trackage, since it's not under UP territory, it has to be pulled by a Norfolk Southern locomotive. So that's a little bit of a disappointment disclaimer there. Um, because, again, Union Pacific doesn't have trackage rights there, Norfolk Southern does. So and this locomotive is not operated by Norfolk Southern. It's everybody knows. So yeah, so John, you told me on June 13th and 14th, Pocono Raceway is having their NASCAR event. Um, and the Reading and Northern 2102. Yeah, I just mentioned that real briefly. I'm not sure exactly how the logistics of this is going to work. I don't know if the Reading and Northern is going to. No, let me back up on that. I don't know if necessarily if the Union Pacific Museum Passenger Special, if that's going to be following the Reading and Northern. I do know one thing that should be taking the same track because it's going that same route. But I don't know if it's going to be following it or in front of it. I'm not sure the exact logistics between the Reading and Northern trip and the um, Union Pacific trip. But as far as I know, they're running the same route. Whether they're going to be following or paralleling, we'll see what happens at that time. Um, so that runs from Nesquehoning to Pittston, as I said. Tickets are available from the Union Pacific Museum website. Uh, I'm not sure if the tickets are on sale yet. I didn't exactly look into it, but I've got that feeling that, especially, actually, I looked at it briefly this afternoon. I didn't look too deeply into it. But once those tickets go on sale, if you do plan to ride them, get them fast because they will, and I mean will, sell out quickly. So we're going to go into June 15th to June 16th. That will be the Scranton event. It's Scranton Steamtown Historical Site. So it is a ticketed viewing. You have to get your tickets for that. The tickets will go on sale tomorrow at 10 a.m. for the Scranton event. So the viewing for that is 9 a.m. to 3 in the afternoon. You can get tickets and parking information from the National Park Service. For the 2 weeks, June 17th to June 30th, there will be a locomotive um, maintenancing maintenancing event, so to speak. So that will take place between the hours of 9:30 and 4 in the afternoon. Um, it is ticketed viewing only for that. You won't exactly be up close in person with it, but you will be able to see it from a good distance. And if you have a good enough camera, you can probably zoom in and you can probably get some of it in action. Wednesday, July 1st, it's scheduled to depart at 10 a.m. With no stops, no intermediate stops. July 2nd is when it gets to Jim Thorpe. So Jim Thorpe will depart there at 9 a.m. and then this is when the chase begins. From Reading, PA, it's scheduled to get in at 2:15 in the afternoon with a departure of 3 o'clock. So that's a 45-minute layover for that run. Then it goes to Pottstown, 4:15 to 4:30. So that's duration of 15 minutes. And then it gets into King of Prussia. It will get into King of Prussia later that night, and it will depart at 9 a.m. the following day on Friday, July 3rd, for the Philadelphia event the next day. So that is basically a little bit of a snapshot of what the Pennsylvania, New York portion of this is going to look like for all New Jersey and Pennsylvania rail fans. Again, if you want to go to other spots that are beyond our area, again, the Omaha, Nebraska, the Chicago event, and any other points in between Kansas, Missouri, those you'll want to consult the website to get further details on that. I only went over for our particular area because I know that's where most people are going to have the most vested interest in attending. But for the other events that are outside of the area, you're going to want to consult the website. Same schedule, stuff like that. So I'm going to let you guys talk for a little bit. I'm going to go over some of these comments. I'm going to try to answer some questions. Yep, 2102 on Sunday, June 14th does depart at 9 a.m. So again, that's for the 2102. As far as Union Pacific event, I'm not sure how far after that is going to depart after the 2102. So that is going to be the big event for that area, essentially. And keep in mind, as you all know, this is not, Radiant Northern is not sponsoring Union Pacific portion, but they are sponsoring the 2102 portion. Nesquehoning to Pittston, basically for that duration. So, I'm going to open this up. You guys have any questions that you want to throw out? If there's any topics that I didn't cover that you may want me to cover, I'm just going to give a shout out to a few people. My friends Colin McLaughlin, Liam O'Rourke, John F. McKenna or JFK. Um, who else? See if I can scroll up here, and see who else is on here. This mouse of mine, it's this computer. I'm telling you guys, it's you know, it's a couple years old, but the keyboard gets so funky on it. I don't understand what the deal is. Um, so it's going to be very very busy regardless. No matter which way you guys end up planning the trip or planning as a group, just be prepared. Um, two in ways literally fight for spots. Uh, oh yeah, Donnie, I know you're gonna be out there too, man. Like I said, for me, I already have 3 trips scheduled so far, and possibly more, depending on how more things unfold. As far as lodging and transportation to the event, I know I already mentioned it's probably in your best interest to possibly carpool with a group of friends rather than wing it by yourself, because I can tell you right now, winging this kind of thing by yourself, unless if you really really know where you're going, it's going to be next to impossible. And like I said, these roads, they only follow the rail lines out there to a point, and then they veer off like a couple of miles out of the way, and then if you can't round your way back, it's going to be next to impossible to essentially, um, make your way and try to follow the route. So, on topic of other railroad sponsored events that are happening in relation to America's 250th anniversary, um, back home, we do have a couple of railroad wrapped engines that do have the 250th logo on them. New Jersey Transit, the 4526, that's been running around frequently. I don't know why, but it ran. I remember it ran in like early January, mid January actually. It ran its debut run on the coastline, and then I think it did a couple runs on corridor, and then it was put in the shop for a month. Again, who knows why, and it made its debut on the Mayberg County line. I think was it last week? Yeah, it was last week. And then it was supposedly going to be, it ran over the weekend, and then last night, speaking from yours truly here, I tried to go out to catch the Secaucus and then find out, oh, they pulled the engine off and it's in Hoboken in the servicing yard. So, and I think they pulled off last minute too. They stuck another Jeep on, which heck, what's a rail fan gonna say no to a Jeep, right? But yeah. Oh, Johnny, I like that comment. 4014 and a Jeep on the shuttle for the 250th. Yep. That would be really cool. Any kind of lash up like that. Um, it's kind of surprising. I'm surprised not many more people brought this up. But I've been seeing posts out there, and they're like, how come New Jersey Transit can't just paint a Jeep 40 in 250th anniversary colors like they did for, I think, the 200th anniversary back in 1976? So, yeah, JFK, you're saying, yeah, you called it on the Super Express to Trenton. So that thing's got to come back to the coastline again, or even the corridor. I love the fact that it's on the Mayberg County line now, especially because the good thing about where we are in New Jersey, a lot of these rail lines are in such close proximity that even if you're down as far as, say, Donnie and I and JFK are, we can still get up there within like an hour to the Mayberg County line, and maybe a little bit more, a little bit less. Um, you know, give or change a few minutes. But we have the convenience to do that. It's not like we live in a big state like Pennsylvania where the closest rail line is like 2 hours from us. We're lucky that we live in a concentrated railroad area where we have access to all these railroad lines that we can get a quick heads up. We can just quickly go up and grab the train. We don't have to make um, a tremendous trip. Oh man, Liam, you're funny, man. Can I take the 4014 on K76? Yeah, why don't we just slap 4014 and just run on some? That wouldn't be too bad. Why don't we just stick 4014? We can just have that, I don't know, run some Norfolk Southern freight route to Crockston and then run it back. And maybe we can give the NS engines a break. Oh, Donnie, this is great, man. Imagine if they brought the 4014 in the Meadowlands for the World Cup final on July 19th. I actually just found out the date of that today, by the way, because I was kind of curious about when the World Cup final is going to be, because that's also really big too this year. So this is basically a big year from all accounts. Oh, imagine Lehigh Line buff seeing it. Oh man, JFK. I can tell you right now, the Lehigh Line even gets busy on a quiet day. Can you imagine if we had this thing roll basically all the way across through through the Lehigh Line? Oh my God! Like places from Phillipsburg to Manville to Piscataway to Boundbrook to South Plainfield to Union. You think you have trouble getting your spot there on a normal day. Don't even think about it if 4014 were to run through there. Like, you would have to freaking camp out overnight, legitimately, if you wanted to see this train and get a spot. And don't even think about doing what some other rail fans like me do and stick the camera back in the car between trains. No. Or even leave and come back. Just don't even think about it. You will not get your spot back. So, even the Lehigh line even tends to fill up in like Saturdays, for instance, for even days that don't even consist of really a whole lot of hot spot action or a whole lot of heritage units. People just coming out to see the train for the day or social gathering, wherever the case may be. But oh man, you know what they really should do? It's just amazing. It's been 30 years since they last did this. Back in 1996 and 97, when the C&O 614 ran on the Southern Tier. If they would have run that again, I couldn't even imagine. I even saw videos. They were actually pretty good quality for that time. I mean, they were all taken on, I think, on old VHS cassette tapes. So you were able to watch it. They're on YouTube. You just have to look them up. But yeah. Oh, Donnie, you telling me 6,000 finally got their good horn back? I'll tell you, every time I've gone out to see 6,000, the thing sounded like it had its horn choked. It's been blowing at like half blast. It sounds like a regular Comet 5. I just the first time I went on a few weeks ago, I guess to get on 3361, I'm like, is this really the same thing, or did they just freaking choke the horn? Like, I don't know, but it turns out full it's still a full blast, but apparently the conductor's been, or the engineer rather, has been blowing it at half blast, like in restricted mode, like a regular Comet 5. I don't get it. um, yeah, I hope not, Donnie. I do not want that thing to be choked. That is way too good of a horn to be choked. You can choke all the others, but don't choke that. Um, other thoughts here I want to turn to. Um, I have to like John's thought here. Again, since the Lehigh line fills up on a normal basis, we get 4014 rolling through there. Freaking forget it. Um, so other stuff related to back home, as far as 4526 is concerned, and we'll continue to keep an eye on it to see if it comes out. Hopefully, it comes out of servicing in Hoboken for the next day or two, so it can hopefully run some trains. So, especially if it runs in the evening, especially if you shoot a Secaucus from the bridge, you can get absolutely picture perfect lighting. Like, it's literally the best time of day to do it. Anytime from like, 3, 4 in the afternoon to basically, dusk, is the best time to film from the bridge at Secaucus because the way the sun angling is, it's phenomenal. Yeah, Donnie, 6,000. That's been my favorite cab car. I think as long as I've been in the New Jersey Transit, as long as I've been a railroad guy. So, which at this point is going on over, 20 something years. I mean, I started filming what, at this point, 18 years ago. So, yeah, pretty much for as long as I've been filming. And started noticing and picking up on this stuff. Um, so, yeah. So we're almost about a little over 30 minutes in. So again, I'm just gonna keep the chat going. Um, as far as other logistics related to the 4014 event itself, a very smart idea, which I know I'm going to do this in particular. It will be to find some sort of lodging. There's plenty of relatively, not that anything's cheap anymore, but there are relatively reasonable hotel motel accommodations, especially in those areas of Pennsylvania, because Pennsylvania is, it's one of the I think as far as everybody knows, it's one of the original um, traveled states in the country. So, there's a lot of roadside motels, a lot of places. There's, Hampton Inns, Holiday Inns, Best Westerns. There's a lot of them, out there. And I know in the Philadelphia area, especially in the King of Prussia area, there's a ton. There's like a lodging place every few miles. and then once you get further out into Pennsylvania as well. Um, if you're coming from a distance, especially a trip like Altoona, it's not something that you're gonna want to do in a day. I'm already looking at possibly making it a multi-day trip, meaning leave on Friday, get out there by I think early on Saturday. Well, the event's gonna be early on Saturday, but yeah, just get there early. Again, secure your spot. Make sure you can get in. And then I think from here to Altoona, it's roughly like a 4.5 hour drive, 4.5 to 5 hour drive. So you don't want to do that like the day of. You want to do that the night before. And then once the event is over, if you really feel up to it, by all means drive the whole way back. But if you feel the need to split it up, split it up. Drive to maybe, you know, Harrisburg and you know or Philadelphia and spend the night and then do the rest of the drive back the next day. That is completely up to you, how you want to work out your own travel arrangements and what you want to do in terms of lodging and stuff like that. Scranton, similar thing, especially if you're doing the Jim Thorpe thing on top of it. That is an event that you don't necessarily want to drive all the way back to go all the way up to Scranton the following day. You want to continue your route up towards Scranton. So um, you'll want to essentially take that into consideration if you want to finish up at because Pittston is already on the way to Scranton. I think in terms of distance, I think it's within an hour, within an hour from there to Scranton. So if you want to finish up that day, drive up to Scranton, spend the night, so that way you can be there for the event in the morning, um, on the 15th of June. Um, Philadelphia, it's totally your call. Philadelphia is within a 2 hour driving distance from here. So that you can legitimately do in a day. So you don't have to worry about lodging unless you really, really want to do it and you wanted to see the thing over the span of the 2 days it's going to be there. You that is completely up to you. But Philadelphia is the easiest spot that you can make a feasible day trip to go see the 4014. Um, Other thoughts? I'm trying to think of any other thoughts, tips that I want to give to you guys in regards to this. Um, it's really at this point it's really based on your own discretion, your own decision, how you want to. I can offer you my advice, but it's really up to you at the end of the day, what you decide to do. I'm already formulating my plans and will continue to do so over the next few days, few weeks, so that we can be immediately ready to go by the time the trip actually gets here. Yep. Yeah, John, that sounds pretty accurate. Pittston to Scranton is about a half hour. I'm depending on the traffic. So again, that is something if you want to finish up the day of the 14th and then just drive up there just to be there for the morning of the 15th. Again, that's totally your call, your preference. That's something you can absolutely do. Um, and then it will hold over in Scranton for about 2 weeks. So if you want to go within that period between the 17th and the 30th just to get more pictures, by all means, because then by July 1st it will leave Scranton to make its way down towards Philadelphia. So there's actually, for everyone's interest, there's another big boy actually on display at Scranton Steamtown. So it will be able to. I think the whole purpose is to have them be side by side. Have the 4014, the other one, which I think is 4012 or something. Whatever the number is. I have a picture of it from years ago. I have to go back in my archives and look for it. So yeah, so I will let this run a few minutes longer. Um, Again, you guys feel free to chime in. As you know, you've seen live posts from me. I always open it up to any sort of open discussion, and once everyone feels they say what they wanted to say or get out what they need to get out, and then I feel that I get the most amount, then I may close it out. But anyway, let's keep this going because I like this chat right now. Yeah, the 14th for me, I'm kind of in a little bit, not a quandary, but I'm kind of in a little bit of an impasse right now. What I want to do. I already purchased tickets to ride the 2102 that day, but my thoughts are leaning more towards the actual chase because I don't know whether or not I heard that the 2102 it will offer you a vantage point to um, see the 4014 exclusively. Where you'll be able to see it, that I'm not entirely sure of. I think it's at Piston itself, but I'm not 100%. So, yeah, for me, John, the day on the 14th, that's going to become an overnight thing for me because I'm going to immediately go to Scranton the following day. That's why I basically brought that up in the chat. Um, so actually, Donnie, the ticket for me to ride the 2102 to see the 4014, if I decide to do that, was only $125. So it really wasn't that expensive. But you'll be amazed at the prices for the viewing. I don't want to brag about prices here or disclose too much, but for Altoona, it may vary from place to place. But Altoona, for me, it was amazingly inexpensive. Um, so I would imagine to ride the 4014, I would imagine that's where the price hike is. Um, I don't know necessarily the exact ticket cost offhand if you were to ride 4014, presumably, but or respectively. But again, it really all depends on what you decide to do. If you decide to basically by itself, if you were to just drive and chase the run, you essentially are not looking at it to be that expensive. Like if you don't buy any train tickets at all, if you don't buy any viewing tickets at all, if you don't buy anything at all, if you just spend money on food and gas and tolls, you really just paying for that and lodging. Without all that extra stuff, the trip is actually relatively inexpensive. But when you add all these into it, when you factor everything else, then that's when the prices are going to start to go up for this trip, for sure. I can't ballpark the exact amount of prices per trip and per range and per route and per stop, but it really all depends. But the ticket for me to get into Horseshoe Curve was only $20 and for general admission. So, and I even made a little donation too. So, hee hee. But yeah. So I would imagine once the Scranton tickets come out tomorrow, you can probably go and see for yourself. It's probably gonna be the same amount, maybe a little more, a little less. Um, but like I said, I really do not think that the tickets for to view the train are going to be that expensive, as opposed to what they would be to ride it. Which, you know, and it also depends on what type of class you get. If you decide to ride coach, first class, whatever the case may be. Um, if you really wanted to try to plan out ticket prices. Um, so, yeah, John, to mention your point as far as costs are concerned, um, it will, yeah, it will ultimately be the most amount of your price range, cost range will go into food, toll, and gas money. If you don't spend money on anything else, like if you don't spend money on a train ticket, um, and if you don't spend money to go to these ticket viewing places, it's really just going to be food, gas, and toll money, and lodging too. Lodging would be the most expensive. There are some cheap options for hotels and motels in the area, I would imagine, but given how prices are skyrocketing these days, who knows? And that's just across the board. That's not just for this. This is just for, everything, period. So thanks to the tariffs and inflation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Um, so yeah, Josh, I'm very excited to catch it too. I still got to figure out how I'm gonna get there. Again, if I mean me being me, I would just drive myself out. But given the overall logistics, it's probably the best idea to really just carpool with a group. It's really the only feasible way to do this, especially so you're not battling for spots by yourself. That is what I'm the most concerned with personally. Would be if I were to go by myself and I would just battles, spots to get in, especially an area that I've only filmed like I think once or twice in my entire life. Um, and that's not talking about Reading or Scranton. That's talking about the route between Nescahoning and Pittston. I think I was only out there one other time, and I think from what I remember, the good spots are few and far between. It's not like the Reading and Northern from say Reading to Jim Thorpe where there's spots palooza the whole way up. No, it takes a different route. um, yeah, I like the idea of house music, you guys. Um, yeah, it's gonna be a trip, one way or another. Yeah, JFK opened up the tailgate for your pickup. I like that. While Josh, Donnie, and Liam they get the house music going on their trip. So, um, yeah, we'll see. It's gonna be a big trip. It's gonna be a lot of fun, and I'm very much looking forward to it. And even people that are not railroad people, even my parents of all people, they're looking forward to it. So it's gonna be a fun time. It's gonna be a real fun time. But it's big and it's momentous. So you know, no matter which way you look at it, this is the event of the century that we're talking about. Make sure you have fully charged cameras, that you have open SD cards, that you keep everything in order, that you keep plenty of chargers on you. It's funny. This phone's due for an upgrade anyway, but I may actually upgrade this before the trip, just so I can do multitask viewing. I already have three other cameras too. I've got this, but then I've got the old Canon and I've got the new Sony. Well, not so new anymore. I've had the Sony now for 3 years. But in that perspective, um, also veering off course a little bit from 4014. Um, I don't want to open this up for any controversy, but there was a rumor put out, possibly, and again, this was from. I don't want to go. I probably really shouldn't go blabbing it, but there is a very small possibility of the CSX being an office car special running within the next like month and a half. Small possibility. It was leaked on CSX's trans shit site, whatever it is. But yeah, Donnie, house music. I don't listen to house music all that often, so I'm not too familiar with that genre. The kind of music I like the classic rock and roll stuff. So you mix that with some railroad music, then you're gonna have yourself a pretty good bang up time. That's the type of music I like to listen to. But as far as house music, that'd be something. Oh, progressive house music, DJs. Oh man, it's amazing how often this guy ever goes out and listens to house music, right? um, you know what? Let's consult the old sources. Google house music, if I can even spell it. Yeah, electronic dance music. I do like music from the 80s. That I will tell you. I'm pretty much open. If anybody knows me, I'm open to any genre of music that's good and classic. Not like, I'm not so much for the big newbie stuff of the most recent generation, but you know, older house music is it was pretty darn good. I have always had that very strong attention to rhythm and beat. I always have. So, it's always it's a pretty good combination. Pretty good thing. So, yeah, you guys will be beatboxing to some house music, and I'll be beatboxing to my hard classic rock. My way in between the trains. Yeah, yada yada yada. Um, so Donnie, that's completely up to you guys. You guys want to do DJ's pregame for 4014? Hey, that's all on you guys. I'll be getting my sleep beforehand. Actually, I probably wouldn't be sleeping. I'll probably just be up the whole damn night in high anticipation and excitement. Forget sleeping. Sleeping is overrated. um, yeah, go with the whole thing about what house music is, right? Just legit go straight through that and get at the whole details. Um, so yeah, so anyway, guys, I'm probably gonna wrap this up. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Um, I don't really know how whole Facebook's thing is with saving live videos. I think that from what I saw last time, um, that they only keep it for like a month and then they get rid of it unless you're able to archive it. I don't know. They started it like I think they started almost a year ago. It was weird that they don't save live videos anymore. They'll probably save this for a good period of time, but I don't think any much longer than that. Yeah, Donnie, classic rock. That's my go-to anytime. But it's funny, even related to trains, especially too. You wouldn't think it, but classic rock is a very good music for train chasing. Yeah, John, I'm doing that already. I've been getting a lot of maintenance work done on my car. I had the brakes done. Um, I got to get the spark plugs done. I'm probably gonna do that within the next couple of weekends. Um, that's got to be done, and yeah, check the tires. Um, stuff like that. Um, like I said, just generically, I've had a bit of car maintenance done on my car within the last couple of months. So, but there is some work I do have to do on it. Um, essentially leading up to the chase. So that's not a bad idea at all, John. It's actually a really really good idea. um, so yep, like I said, just check your cars, check your chargers, check your cameras, just check everything that you have before making this trip. Because once you go on this type of trip, you can't go back. You just gotta go out and go for it. Yeah, Donnie, wear your most best dressed outfit to chase a train. That is fucking great. Wear a suit and a tie just to go out and chase it, man. Yeah, maybe I'll get all decked out too. I'll wear a tuxedo to go chase. Hey, it'll actually match the 4014. It'll be like how they did way back in the days, where actually people legit dressed up to ride the train. It'll be just like that. Freaking great. Um, yeah. So, well, guys, I look forward to seeing some of you guys out there. Hopefully we can all meet up at certain various points. Maybe we can actually arrange a carpool. Again, it's really up to whatever you guys want to do and how you guys want to play it out. And with that being said, you know, hopefully I'll see you guys out there on the trail. The America 250th anniversary. You big boy. The big event of the 21st century. Maybe it'll be something for in 2076 for the 300th anniversary. Who knows? You never know. It could be something in a couple of years. Again, you never know with the railroad industry these days and what they'll, because it seems like they'll just put something out for anything. So, I mean, a few years ago when we had New Jersey Transit's big anniversary event, that big excursion. But this one to celebrate this country, it's 250th. It's a huge slamming deal. Well, guys, I'm gonna peace out from this point on. Again, Any other things you want to bring up? Always feel free to leave in the comments, send a message, and I'll see you guys out there. And happy buffing. Oh, by the way, Liam, I saw your question before about when I'm planning to go out and film the Lehigh. It's really only when something good comes. Heritage units or any unique foreign power. That's when I go out. Because I hate to say it, but on the Lehigh line, unless if you really, really know, um, you know, unless if you really, really know what's coming and when it's coming, the way the trains are on the Lehigh line, it unfortunately is a waste of time. So, yeah, Donnie, 1943 and 2018. It's funny. I think back, as good as the shots were that I got at the time, there were some other areas that I could have done. It's funny. I even thought back to my Glen Rock video. It wasn't too brightly sunny, but I remember I kind of got it at the kind of going into the curve. I'm thinking what may have been a better shot if I actually went across to the other platform, the eastbound platform, the platform that goes into Hoboken, and would have gotten the train coming around the bend that way. I feel like that would have been a slightly better shot than the one I got. Being on the platform the train was coming on, of it coming around the curve. It would have been a much broader shot, actually, taken from the other side. But my mind was different back then. So I think I was just worried about just getting the train and not so much angling, quote unquote. Because Glen Rock Borough Hall, where I got that around on the McKinley, and I even just going there, but going to Ridgewood or Hohokus, probably would have been better off. There's a lot of things that I think. Piscataway was beautiful the night that I got that, but Glen Rock, I feel like the shot there could have been done a little bit differently. Now that I think back, 8 years later. um, and that's really all I have. And again, guys, best of luck to you. Have fun. Take lots of pictures, take lots of videos. And yours truly, I will see you out there. So, have a good night, you guys. And we'll talk when we get closer to the event. Take care now, guys.